What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So this video of Martin Fitzwater that was seen floating all over social media a few days ago after Prague Pro this year. But I kind of had to ignore that because there was no context on what really made Martin so damn angry that he ended up confronting a guy in front of thousands of people at Prague Pro pose down.
Next time you want to talk shit about me, do it to my
Now some of us thought that this guy must have said something to him to make Martin so angry, and that made Martin respond the way he did. So now that we have some context that it was Giles Tiger, the guy who was doing the commentary at Prague Pro this year, he has come forward that it was actually him who got confronted by Martin Fitzwater. So now it's time for us to also comment on that.
Naively, I was honestly hoping for an apology. Because to me, that is not cool. And that's why I sent it. The only reason I sent it to different people in the industry, judges, officials, people I knew that I could trust to not say anything or leak it, is because I wanted their advice. And I said, guys, what does this mean? What does this mean now that I'm doing commentary, I'm giving my take, I'm giving my opinion. What does this mean now if we say something an athlete doesn't like? Does this mean now it's a free-for-all because like Samson and Martin both kind of coming at me. It was kind of intimidating.
Apparently the reason Martin was angry at Giles, that was because last year when Martin did Prague and he was off at the prejudging, many people including Giles, they publicly commented that Chris Bumstead, he deserved to win that show. Now, if that is actually true, it is kind of surprising that Martin waited a whole damn year to settle this one down. But maybe he wanted to do that in that pose down of that same show, where this time he looked absolutely phenomenal, where he was about to beat the former Olympia champion and an Arnold champion Samson Dauda. So Giles Tiger has demanded an apology from Martin over this action. But at this point we do not know Martin's side of the story on what really happened. Now some of these pros out there, they have to understand and they have to decide difference between someone hating on them or someone calling out the way it is, the way it looks like. So have a look what the bodybuilding media has been saying and commenting about Martin since the Olympia this year. It has been all praise because the man smashed it out of the park. And then the way he showed up in Prague, beating Samson Dauda, Keon and Michael Krizo, he has solidified himself as a future Olympia title contender. But the moment him or someone else, they will have a bad showing. We have an example of the mutant Nick Walker. It was all praise since the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro this year for Nick Walker. But the way he showed up at the Olympia this year, people were gonna call it the way they saw it. So I do feel like no one should be labeled as a hater. Everyone has their opinion. But let me know what do you guys think of this whole situation. And does Guile, he deserves an apology from Martin over this, and should Martin come out and say his piece and tell us his side of the story? Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So who else believes that the 2024 Olympia champion Samson Dauda will blow everyone away with the size that is about to chase for 2026? Could be like that 2003 Ronnie Coleman's comeback, where Ronnie dwarfed everyone, including his biggest rival Jay Cutler, because the man just came in so damn huge. Now we know how frustrating it must have been for Samson Dauda to continuously hear from every bodybuilding fan, every expert out there, every judge, that he needs to come in condition. And when he did suffer for those 16 weeks or so, he got to his leanest possible condition. But the results at the Olympia and then at Prague, they just simply did not go in his favor. Actually, it went total opposite of what he was expecting. So the game plan, that has now changed, which makes total sense. Since now Samson Dauda knows, and everyone knows, that he will never be able to win back an Olympia title just playing the conditioning game. But will the size game that will allow him to fight for the title one more time? Well, in my opinion, 100% yes. But only if he brings a decent condition with that, just like the way he did for the Olympia last year. So that is the blueprint for the success for Samson Dauda. He was big enough, but also lean enough and in a good enough condition to outclass guys like Derek and Hadi Chopin. Now it will be very interesting to see whether Samson Dauda takes the full year in terms of the off-season to grow, to get bigger, to put on more muscle. And that's gonna happen for the very first time in his career if he actually decides to go down that route and just focus on peaking for one show, the Olympia next year. Because if he does that, that can be a big difference maker in his overall physique, because this is a guy who can grow the most even in between shows. So imagine if Samson Dauda takes a full year off, a proper off season, to grow, to get bigger. If that happens, the fans are in for something very special, and it's gonna be one anticipating comeback at the Olympia next year. So Terrance Ruffin was unable to win the Olympia this year, but the vision, the goal, that remains the same. In fact, he's more focused now than he was ever before. So this is Terrance today, more than 2 weeks after winning Prague in a very convincing fashion. So 10 pounds up from his stage weight and looking so crispy. Now we know he was a clear-cut third place finisher at the Olympia, but a vast majority of the bodybuilding fans, they all believe that this is truly what classic physique should look like. And the only reason Terrance was unable to win the Olympia this year was because he lacked the muscularity compared to Ramondino and Mike. And the plan has already been set for 2026. For all the fans who were expecting to see Terrance do the Arnold in 2026, well, unfortunately he won't be doing any show other than the Olympia next year. Because if we look at Terrance's career, the most amount of progress that was made during the years when he took the long off season just to grow, to get bigger, and this time he's gonna do the same so that he can win the one and the only show that he hasn't won in his career so far, the Olympia title. So Terrance has been competing as a pro for more than a decade now. So if he finally wins the Olympia next year, that will be a very inspiring story. Since this guy has won 2 Arnold titles, he has 2 Olympia runner-up placings as well. So if he wins the Olympia title, his legacy will be complete after 1 whole decade. So Regan Grimes posted a physique update 5 weeks post-Olympia this year. So this was his 4th Olympia appearance. Could have been his 5th, because for 1 year he was actually qualified, but he chose to sit out because he needed to get bigger, to put on more muscle. So fast forward to 2025, Regan is getting that same feedback from the judges, from everyone, that in order for him to be competitive at the elite level, like the Olympia stage or the Arnold stage, and maybe place in that top 8, he needs to add more muscle, especially in his lower half. So he's among those tall guys in the open bodybuilding who are very classic, very aesthetic, and the mass on him, that is nowhere near the level of Samson Dauda or Andrew Jack. So one thing that needs to be appreciated about Regan is that how strategic he has been in terms of selecting the shows. The last show that he did after the Olympia this year, that was Mexico Pro, where he did beat Sean Carrida, but Tonio Burton was too good for him and all the other guys at that show. So Regan is now back to the drawing board. So do you guys think Regan will ever be able to live up to the potential that Jay Cutler and Milos Sarcev have always talked about? Because Milos has stated this multiple times that Regan has the best structure in open bodybuilding. Now we obviously disagree with that, but that's a very bold stance still. Now he does have a crazy X-frame, amazing V-taper, and if he ever blows up those quads on his physique, he will become one of the most dangerous bodybuilder that these legends always refer to. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.